And in so doing, I want to explain the journey that brought me here, explain why this is such a really important project, and conclude with a few words of thanks to those who are really essential in the foundation and in making an evening like this happen. So when I was enjoying the dinner earlier on, I heard each of the different speakers touch on the journey that brought them to being involved in the foundation, the day, the project, or even the dinner. And my own journey in relation to this project began, as many things do begin for me, with a book. And that book was a wonderful book called From Silk to Silicon. And that book was about how our world changed through countries, people, communities becoming more connected with each other. It was a book about the history of that terrible sounding word, globalization, which is about something very simple, how we've all become more connected. And I read a chapter about Andy Moore, the man who founded Intel. I read a chapter about Henry Kissinger, the man who won the Nobel Prize for Peace. And what was the next chapter amongst it all? About Cyrus Field, about the great island of Valentia. As I remarked in a speech I gave earlier on, it might come as a surprise to people who live outside Kerry to know the internet was created here. But it doesn't come as a surprise to anybody who lives in Kerry to know that. And I read this book. It was a story I'd never come across before. And then a few days later, I was leafing through the Irish Times at the weekend, studiously avoiding anything about politics in it. And I came across the festival supplement in it. And in the festival supplement, what was there for the first time? The Valentia Cable Festival. And I thought to myself, if that's not two events coming together to send a signal to me, I don't know what is. So send a message to, as it was, Anthony. Shortly afterwards, got a message back, which is why I attended the first dinner of this wonderful event 4 years ago. And then as I've become more involved in what is going on here, and began to know a little bit more about it, I discovered that in my own family history, my own grandfather, my dad's dad, who I never met, was the last station master in the train station in Valentia Port. So again, I thought to myself, if there's ever a project that needs my attention, so that, what was that? Well, I've only been referring to my dad's family. Wait till I start talking about my mother's. So that was the beginning of my interest in this project. And in my work as a member of government and in different roles that I've had the privilege of performing, I've kept more than an eye in what's going on here. And I'm very, very delighted and satisfied that this project received a very significant grant from the Rural Regeneration Fund that was set up precisely to support projects like this. And this project really matters, and it matters for many different reasons. One of the reasons why it is so important to us now, today, to the Ireland of today, with the change that is going on across our world, is, as other speakers have touched on, about how the cable emitted, the difference it made to the world. This truly is one of the birthplaces for that which changed the globe. But because it changed the globe, it changed Ireland. Think about this island. What happened in this island? A world-changing technology was developed. Companies came to this island to benefit from that technology. The communities on the island and beyond here benefit because of that happening. And think about how similar that is to the journey that our island, our country, has gone through, where we have used openness, we've used our ease with technology, we've used our ease with other cultures across the world to transform our country across 4 decades. The story of Valentia, the story of the cable project, the story of the cable station is a tale of modern Ireland. It is a tale that brings together all that changed our country and brings together some very special things about our past, but also an insight into how we have created this present. And that is the reason, of course, why many companies have been good enough to sponsor this event. It's the reason why colleagues such as Minister Brendan Griffin, a very good friend and colleague of mine, and I can tell you you're very lucky to have a representative as thoughtful and as dedicated as Brendan, representing you as a community and as a county. It is the reason why he is so supportive of us. And it's ultimately one of the reasons I'm so drawn to us and why I'm determined to make sure this happens. And I'm not just determined to ensure this happens because it tells the story of our past, it tells the story of where we are now. I'm also determined to see this happen because I think it's deeply relevant to our future. As you look at the changes that are taking place across the world, as you see the differing views that are developing in relation to the value of trade, in relation to the value of exchange, in relation to whether there is a need to engage with other countries and other cultures and how we do it. What this project sends out is a very clear signal regarding where our country stands on those great issues. It's relevant to our future because our future lies in recognising the value of openness, but combining openness with strong communities, recognising the value of global, but supporting the local. And as we see that begin to change elsewhere, our ability to navigate that, our ability to surf our way through it, is the way to our country's future. And this is why the themes that have got us to here this evening, the history of the cable, the history of the station, and the effort that has gone on to recognise both, is more than just looking backwards. It's more than just looking into the plains of a distant past. It's providing us the insight to help us navigate the frontiers of our future. What you're recognising and what you're celebrating here tonight is not a static point. It's not a map of an island. It's the kind of insights that give us a compass to how we navigate through change. And that is one of the reasons why I believe the story of this island could well be the future story for our Ireland. And it's why I'm so pleased to support it and all who play such a role in it. I want to conclude by recognising those who have played such a role in it. If I may, on behalf of those who've organised the dinner, I want to thank all in the Royal Hotel for the amazing job they've done. I want to thank all of the staff, and in particular I've been told that Laura and Casey have been instrumental in making the entire evening work. So thank you to them. I want to thank all on the foundation, in particular Leonard. I want to thank Mary Rose. I want to thank all who are doing far more than keeping this alive. This isn't a project that's been kept alive. This is a project that has received and will receive significant support. And in turn, we are asking you to support it. Because we can only make this happen if the government, the local authority, and those who are interested in this and want to contribute to it all play their part. In particular, as I recognise the role of the local authority, I want to thank the Chief Executive of Kerry County Council, Maura Burrell, for her ongoing leadership and interest for her county, but also for this project. And I also want to thank, and Brendan asked me particularly to do this, I want to thank John Griffin, who I understand has played a huge role in this. So thank you, John, for all of that, because I know you're a big reason why we're all here, John. Yeah. You might get a statue out of this when it's all done. Others have spoken about Anthony and Bob, and I just want to say a word about each of them. Bob was the first who I met with this project, and he had a real influence on why we need to support this. And I made a promise to him, and I will keep that promise. I have a book that he gave me in my office that I see most days, and I will ensure that the vision that he had for here is realised. Anthony, as so many have already spoken of, I can still remember the day I met him. I can still remember when he put me in his car just out there, and he drove me around the slate yard. He drove me around the island. I, at that point, thought there was only one site that he wanted funding for. Before I got out of the car, I realised there was another two. And I was only Minister for Transport then. God knows if he got me in the car now, how many I would have seen. But so many have spoken from their heart for the contribution that he made. And I just want to add my voice to that. And then finally, in conclusion, so I have 3 roads in my constituency of Dublin Central. 2, actually, who in North Strand, which is a part of the north inner city of Dublin. And one avenue is called Faith, and the avenue beside it is called Hope. And I always wonder, where did love go? And I've represented the constituency now for 8 years, and I still haven't found it. The street called love, I should say, not love itself. But I thought we were doing well with Faith and Hope until I heard of Heart's Content, Heart's Delight, and Heart's Desire. So we've heard of Heart's Content. Maybe as we're here this evening, we know that our heart's desire is to realise the dream of the Valentia cable project. And surely, my friends, we all know that it will be our heart's delight when it comes off. Good night.